first of all, thank you very much for being here. Not only the speakers, but also those who are interested in discussing the papers that are going to be presented during those 2 days. Let me say something about the changes in the program. Today, in this morning session, we are going to have only 2 papers because we have to shorten the morning session because one of the participants who is in Australia now can only give her paper starting at 3 o'clock, so we have to shorten, Rado's paper. He's not going to be presented, unfortunately, but he is going to publish his paper in the collection for this conference. In the afternoon, so the first speaker is going to be Marina Gržinić via Zoom. And then my paper is going to migrate to tomorrow's afternoon session. And as you have seen, one of the participants couldn't come because she's ill, Antonia Birnbaum, so tomorrow will end up earlier as was planned. So let me tell you about something about the idea that's behind this conference. This is, in a sense, the final act of a research project that I have been conducting during the 3 years. And one of the tasks that we have to realize is an international conference. And I was thinking about how to tackle this task and decided to bring together people who are working on this problem of borders, limitations, demarcation lines in various fields. So what is interesting, and this is also one of the ideas of this research project, to question the very concept of borders in various practices and domains of various thoughts. So you see, it's not only philosophy, psychoanalysis, but also politics and art. Now, let me just briefly read the summary and argument for this presentation, this conference, to give you an idea why it is conceptualized as it was. The 20th century ended with the announcement of the realization of 2 great utopias, the end of history and a borderless world. The beginning of the 21st century announced the end of these utopias. Far from creating a borderless world, contemporary globalization has generated a proliferation of borders. So instead of few lines of divisions, borders have spread out and colonized virtually all aspects of our life. One of the main objectives of the present conference is therefore to examine and discuss the very concept of border, its functions in historical development, at its very core also in politics, philosophy, science, arts, history, and psychoanalysis. So this conference will address the issue of borders from 3 distinct yet interconnected perspectives. From a political perspective, the objective of this conference is to provide an inquiry into the current transformation of borders, their ubiquity, heterogeneity, and polysemy, in order to highlight the ways in which spaces at the margins of Europe have been created, negotiated, and transformed by the antithetical patterns of border crossing and border reinforcement. Based on the thus traced out topography of borders, this conference will discuss new perspectives on the crisis and transformations of politics, the emergence of subjectivities resulting from migrant struggles, as well as a critical reassessment of political concepts such as citizenship, sovereignty, power, and freedom. From a philosophical perspective, the objective of this conference is to explore different ways of mapping and delimiting the territory of thought, taking as a departure point the position between approaches to borders, limits, demarcations in philosophy. We will distinguish the approach of a nomad thought that is hostile to borders, limits, frontiers, identity, interiority, denouncing borders as the site of power and focusing instead of movements, flows, and exteriority of forces and relations on the one hand, and the approach that considers the gesture of tracing lines of delimitation as being constitutive of both philosophy and thought in general. From a topological perspective, the aim of this conference is to deploy and explore various models of topologies involved in the subversion of the inside-outside divide in order to circumscribe the points at which it appears to be impossible to draw a clear line of distinction between interiority and exteriority. Such points of extimacy at which the outside is located in the very interiority will be explored in the context of a broader reflection of the relation between finitude and infinitude, human and inhuman, life and death, in politics, bio and necropolitics, and philosophy, the status of truth, and in psychoanalysis, the status of the drive as a point of overlapping between the somatic and the psychic. So this is a broader idea, not necessarily obliging everybody to follow it. So I would suggest that we start with the first paper.